Thank you so much for staying with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Youth Perspective on Morning Cafe. We are analyzing the progress report on reforms stemming from the work of the National Dialogue Committee that was released this week on Tuesday at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. And we're asking the youth, where do they stand in this report? What is their representation? Were they heard? Are they central to the reforms that have been made and the ones that continue to be implemented, rather? Let's just get some of the feedback as we continue this conversation. I'm still with Nick Modime, Hans Rob, and of course Alionya Roseline helping us with this conversation. All right, Faith Wanjiru from Nakuru says, I feel the report is mostly political. Will young people really benefit, or is this just hype? If the youth are included in monitoring the programs, then maybe we can trust this report. Otherwise, it's just talk. That is Daniel Otieno from Kisumu. We have Kevin Kariuki from Eldoret says the agenda has potential, but clarity and real action are what will make it meaningful for us. All right, this is just hype. I don't know where you sit with this, Nick. And Hans was talking about representation. And I wonder what you think about that exactly. Because he mentioned something about the members of parliament who are youthful, that they're not doing anything to represent the young people. But even as we continue to talk about, youth representation, I don't know if you do agree with Hans that the young people, you just unite when you're fighting, but when it comes to issues of national importance like this one, then you're nowhere to be seen. What is your stand with this?
Anne, I listened to my very good friends, Alionya and Hans, and I get very sympathetic because for a minute there, Hans almost had it and lost it, because in one hand, she's supporting what Governor Cecile Mbarire stood up and spoke. So is that an element of fighting as well? Because when young people come up and represent issues, they say that, these young people, one, they don't have anything to do, they just have to complain. So it is really misguided. But I want to school them a little bit, because there's a little bit of miscommunication from Alionya, because she says that, ODM is the party that is doing NADCO report. I want to take her back down the memory lane. NADCO report committee was constituted on the 16th of August, 2023. Number two, it was not constituted by ODM. It was constituted by Azimio la Umoja, which had how many parties? 20 parties. And among them was ODM. And again, they are very misinformed, because the issue of Gen Z came in as a result of NADCO not being implemented. So this is not a listening president at all. This is not a listening president who is not even interested in implementing this NADCO report, especially on issues of the young people. Anne, because I kid you not, Anne, and I tell you this from an honest point of view, I think you are in this country when that young man in Rongai, that young boy in Rongai, was shot 7 times. Until today, there is no single compensation. As a matter of fact, let me just say their party leader, because both of them come from the same party. They seem to be also being confused, especially Alionya. She seems not to be decided whether she's in opposition or whether she's in government. At least for Hans, I can understand he's in the government for the longest time. But I'm coming from a point of, this is a man who came out on the record, on the camera, and saying that he has not even had reports of that boy being shot. Until today, that mother in Rongai, the 9-year-old boy that was shot dead, has still not been compensated. Until we saw young people complain where Boniface Kariuki was shot live on camera. These are issues that they don't want to discuss. Why? Because it involves the young people. It involves justice. And I know my very good friend Alionya is a justice person, and she seems to forget where she started. This government, I tell you, will take you for a ride, because they are talking about Nyota program. And let me just ask you a very logical question. I give you 20,000 shillings to do business, yet the environment of doing business is very poor. So what exactly are you doing?
Alionya will be here to tell us
what
that.
exactly are you doing? Because let me tell you, the economy has been going down right from 2022. The economy has not been improved. You go to our circles today, businesses are closing. And I know it is a very exciting elements and moments for these people that they're excited to touch 20,022. They don't know that this is a loan that still young people have to pay. And anyway, what happened to Hustler Fund? What happened? Because at that point of time, we were discussing about Hustler Fund. Where did the money go? There's still no accountability, because Hustler Fund apparently, and Hans will tell us, was made kushughulikia hustlers. Sindio? So it means hustlers were forgotten now that we have not a program.
Alionya, Nick feels like the economic reforms, there's still an exclusion with this. When we're talking about the NADCO reforms, the environment to do business has been questioned. When you talk about Nyota Fund being disbursed 22,000 to these youth who are eligible for it, you brought the Nyota Fund up, then how is the work environment like? Is it really conducive for people who are getting these funds?
Thank you. I think Nick suffers from the problem of memory, because if you look at the 10-point agenda, the first item, it is actually an oversight on the implementation of the NADCO report. So we cannot discuss NADCO without discussing the 10-point agenda and the findings they made after the NADCO report was formulated. He can also not go ahead to say that ODM was not part of the NADCO preparation. We are the people who championed for that discussion. We were the ones on the streets with our sufurias. I doubt if Nick was on the streets. By that time, he was in bed with government. And by the way, we are supporting a government, a president they abandoned in times of need. So he cannot come here to lecture us about how bad the president is when there are the people who campaigned for him ruthlessly in 2022, and then in 2024 when things went haywire, instead of providing solutions, they ran away. In fact, they are part and parcels of the problems we are going through today. They should not try to run away and try to become freedom fighters all of a sudden. He has spoken about I wanted to make a comment on the feedback that came. Someone saying that maybe the only time oversight would work is when the youth are being the people who are doing the oversight.
Yes.
If you look at the committee of the 10-point agenda, in fact, I see youth representation more than even the NADCO report, because the NADCO report, it is the political elites who are members from both sides. But at least for this one, we have seen young people. If you look at the constitution itself, someone from UDA, I think is 33 years or something, we have seen young people represented in the committee itself. So you cannot say that until all of us or until all Gen Zs are now part of the committee oversighting, this is when things will work. We have seen a representation. The question is, have they done their best? That is the analysis we should be making.
Have they done their best, Alionya, now that you're there?
It is not the best, but it is better, because it is not worse. They have identified the issues of the youths. They have put them there. You know, he's talking about someone who was shot. Let me tell you, if you want to ask Kenyans about compensation, and I even told this committee, because it has people from ODM members, I told them, instead of calling Alionya to discuss the issues of compensation, kindly call the parent of Kariuki, ask her what does she want. Kindly call the person who has been shot, because me, I have friends who were on the streets in 2024 and even 2025. I have friends who still have bullets. I have friends who still have bullets in their bodies, because the bullets are in places that the bullet cannot be removed, because it is critical for the life of that person. That is the person you should be interviewing. What do they really want? If you talk to these people, yes, compensation cannot take them back to where they were, but it is better, because with their amputated leg, at least they can do business, because they cannot go back to the mujengo that they were doing before they were shot.